chirp number 1. The sackless goof. Don Sweeney, does he have a sack after all?
It appears so.
A little bit of one.
A little bit, anyway. Yeah, it appears.
What do you think that conversation was with Charlie and Jeremy Jacobs, like in the direction of the team and saying, okay, because the Jacobs are staunchly behind both of those guys, Sweeney and Neely.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you think that conversation is? Like, okay, we have to retool. We know you love to make the playoffs and so forth. How do you think it gets? Do you think they had to convince them at all? Do you think that something changed because they went from two paths to basically blowing the thing up, which is kind of one extreme to the other?
I don't think they had to convince them. I think the Jacobs, or at least Charlie, he's not here all the time, but I think he watches the games, obviously, and was seeing what everybody else sees, that the team wasn't very good, that they weren't probably going to make the playoffs, and they needed to retool. So they don't like to get rid of front office talent.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they thought that those two guys were probably the right guys to make the
right
do the retool. Even though I don't agree with that at all. I think they have confidence that Sweeney and Neely will be able to get this done.
Well, the Jacobs aren't hockey guys.
No, they're not.
They're not hockey fans at all.
No.
Like, I mean, they may be a little bit more than they used to be, but not now. Like, they aren't. They just aren't. So they're kind of going with. That's why they don't make a lot of changes to the front office. Like, they just don't like to do it because I don't even know if they know what they're looking for. Like, just get us to the playoffs. Like, that's about it. So if Sweeney says this is the way we're gonna get you to the playoffs next year, like we're gonna miss it this year, but we're gonna get you there next year by getting rid of these guys, signing a couple of guys in the offseason. We're really close to making the playoffs anyway. We sign a couple more guys. We have a full training camp with Swayman. McAvoy and Lindholm are healthy. Like the whole thing, they can make the playoffs next year. So that's probably how they sold it.
Sure.
And I you know what? I kind of agree. Like you can make the playoffs next year.
I think so too. I think if you're smart with the moves you make in the offseason, you add some scoring. My pie in the sky guy I want is Mitch Marner. I think he could be drive the second line by himself. Doesn't matter who you put with him. I think he's a good player. If you can get another guy to go there with him, and then have I guess Elias Lindholm center that line. Maybe that turns Elias Lindholm into a little bit more of a point getter if he's more of a shot first guy and doesn't have to drive the line. If he can win the faceoffs, game possession, Marner can distribute, and you could find another guy on that line to score goals. You might have something there. And then, if you solidify the defense and Swayman's back and healthy and full training camp and that whole thing, you might be right there again.
Sure.
So it's a couple of things, but again, you got to bring in some elite talent, and you're going to have to pay for it. You're not going to be able to get Marner for $12 million. You're going to have to give him more than that. Especially after you miss the playoffs, you're going to have to pay.
Yeah,
you're going to have to overpay to bring somebody like that in. And will they be willing to do that? I'm not sure. They've seemed to have come close on guys in the past, but they seem to hit a number where they're not willing to go over, and they're going to have to go over the number. They're going to have to get uncomfortable in order to bring some real elite talent in, because it's not. There's other options out there for places to go, teams to go to, where it's warmer weather, whether the tax benefits are better, whatever, the better team on paper, whatever the case may be. There's going to be other options that are going to be better than you next year in the offseason. You're going to have to pay a suck tax essentially to bring somebody like that in.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, maybe we can talk Mitchell Marner into existence like we talked Casey Mittelstadt into existence last year. We had that on the pod, like yay or nay on Casey Mittelstadt. You were like, yeah, big boy, let's get him.
Yeah.
And a year later, here we are.
Here we are. I mean, we could do this general managing thing. I'm convinced.
GMs.
I'm convinced. Sure. Co-GMs. We'll be like the Coen brothers in the movies. We'll just there we are, just doing shit, making it happen.